Okay, well, I'm hoping that by this assignment you feel a little more comfortable with working directly in AutoCAD, and some we're going to do together and some on your own. And I've already had positive feedback from students that are in my other classes that they're starting to get better at it and appreciate these videos. So let's move forward with this assignment. It has a lot more to offer and some of what we've already done. So if you take a look, you can see that we've already drawn simple lines and circles, and what we've already created a layer that has a different line type and line weight, and we'll take a look at that. But in this one, we do have, and I think, yeah, we may have did this already. We did the rectangular array. Well, this time we'll do the polar array for these circles here. And then we'll be able to create a polygon and pick up a few more tools like drawing this line tangent to these two circles here in the assignment and drawing a line at a specific angle. We also have chamfers we looked at in one of the other assignments, and this one has a different number for the X and the Y chamfer. Okay, so let's get started. You've already saved the file with the file name and location that you're going to check with your professor, see what's required there. And then you pick the layer properties button here and you create these layers. It's okay if they're not in the same order, because once you close out of this, it just goes in alphabetical order. So like we did before, we have center, dim text, hidden, and objects. The object layer is always that one that has a higher bolder line weight. It's 0.60 right there. And also the hidden layer has a line type that's hidden. Remember, we clicked on hidden and we picked load, and then we went to load it, and then we made sure that we clicked here to make that layer hidden. Same thing here. The center layer is center. If I click here, you load it, pick here, and make it center. All right, so then you change all the layer colors so that you can keep your layers organized. When you look at this, you see that there's a box that's 6 by 10, and this is the assignment we'll do together. And then the other one you can work on in your own to get the experience from learning from the previous assignments. So I'm going to go ahead and start the line command by clicking here at the top left. I'm going to click down here for what would be the bottom left corner. I'm going to click. And remember, you don't have to click anymore. Just pull your mouse to the right. Make sure you have that green tracking vector. Type in 10 and enter. And then pull your mouse straight up. Type in 6 and enter. Sorry. Yep. A little stuffed up nose here today. Pull your mouse to the left and type in 10 and enter. And then at this point, you can type in C for close and enter. I've given you a bunch of different options for that. You can use the wheel of your mouse to roll up and down or hold it down to pan, or even double click on the wheel of the mouse and to see everything like a zooming stance, and then roll the wheel back. There it is. All right, so we have a lot of offsets and some other things to work on. You can see that we have fillets here in the corners and we have chamfers over on this side. So why don't we start with some of these offsets? So we have an offset of 0.75 from this far right side for the circles. Then we have one that's 2.5 for these other circles down here. We have another one up here for 6.38 for the center of what's going on over here. So let's go ahead and start the offset command and type in 0.75 and enter. Select this line to the far right, right there. That's the object you want to offset, and pull your mouse to the left and click. Now you're in the offset command, so you can stay in it. You can click that new line right there, pull your mouse to the left. You see how it says it shows the 0.75, but we're going to type in 2.5 and enter. All right, so we've got the offset of 0.75 and one of 2.5 from there. And we might as well get the 6.83, so we'll pick that original line, the one on the far right, as the object to offset. Pull your mouse to the left and type in 6.38 and enter. See, now we have all of those. Now, we do have, this whole thing is 6, and we do have a dimension that's 3. So you could just draw a line from midpoint to midpoint, or what I'm going to do is pick the bottom line, pull my mouse up and type in 3 and enter. So there are other offsets that we'll be working with, but that's kind of a good start for us. You can use your escape key or right click and pick enter to get back to the command line there. Oops, I did forget a 0.75 from the top and a 0.75 from the bottom. So start the offset command, type in 0.75 and enter. Pick the top line and pick below it, and pick the bottom line and pick above it. And then right click and enter. And the reason I wanted that is to create these circles here. When it says 2x, that means there are 2 circles, and we already talked about that circle with a line through it being diameter. So we have 2 circles with a diameter of 0.75. So we can go up to circle, center diameter right there, pick the intersection of these two lines as the center point and type in 0.75 and enter. We'll go up to circle center diameter again, and then pick the intersection of these two lines. And it's already typed in the command line, so I can just press enter because we already just drew one that was that same size. Hey, since we're on a roll here with drawing circles, there's so many different ways that we can do this, and you're going to say, well, why doesn't she do this? Well, everybody's going to find their way. Since we're right here, we might as well draw these other two circles. One is a radius of 0.375, and this is a radius of 0.875. So circle center radius, I'm just going to click right here for the center point and type in 0.375 and enter. A little bit different. Looks like the same, but it's a little bit smaller. So circle center radius, I'm going to click here, this other intersection, and type in 0.875 and enter. So now we've got all those circles over there that we can start to work with. All right. I think at this point, we can take some of these lines out, like this vertical and the top and the bottom one there that we were using for the 0.75. Just kind of cleans it up a little bit there. So we want to draw a line that's tangent to this circle and tangent to this circle. And then that's what this line is. You see, it doesn't go from the top of the circle because that wouldn't be like kind of perpendicular in line with, that's why it's called tangent to the circle. So one way to do that is to come into your object snaps here, and really you'd have to turn off your quadrants, your centers, your endpoints. You'd have to turn off a bunch of object snaps and then turn on the tangent one there. But instead of doing that, I'm going to show you a new tool here. And let's just practice it for a little bit. Let's hold your shift key down, and press and let go of your right mouse button. See, what it does is it gives you this menu so that you can pick one specific object snap and it turns off all the rest. It's like an override. So it overrides all the rest so that you can get the tangent one, and none of the other ones will kind of like pull you in their direction. So let's escape out of that. The first thing we need to do is only use those when your command line is asking for a point. So start the line command first. So you've got the line command right there in your command line. Hold your shift key, press your right mouse button, let go of your shift key, and pick tangent. Now you see when I get close to this circle, I'm only seeing tangent because I override, I like turned off all the rest. So I'm going to click now, right there. But you see now that I clicked, all the other object snaps are coming back. But you can see that it's tangent anytime I move around to it. So to get to the other circle, see, I have to hold my shift key down, press your right mouse button, let go of your shift key, and pick tangent. Come over here, and you see there's that little tangent, deferred tangent marker. I can click. Now I can right click and pick enter, or enter. That line is tangent to this circle and tangent to that circle. All right. Now, like I said, the other choice would be to turn off a bunch of object snaps and just have the tangent on, but I think knowing how to use that right click menu is a good idea. So we'll practice on the bottom. Start the line command, hold your shift key down, press and let go of your right mouse button, and then let go of the shift key. You've already got that menu up. You can now pick tangent. Come to the bottom of the circle, there's your tangent, click. Hold your shift key, press and let go of your right mouse button, let go of your shift key, and pick tangent. Now you can come over here and pick the bottom of the circle. There's the tangent. Right click, enter. So that is how you draw a line tangent from one circle to another, tangent. Okay, so just to finish this kind of area, one area at a time, let's use the trim command. Up here, it's the little scissors. We can go ahead and click on that little trim and pick out these right here, here. Now, if that's not tangent, you'll have a little extra line in there because you would have probably picked nearest or something else. But if it's tangent, it's going to be a smooth transition right here. All right. And then you can cancel out of that. So these are still on the object layer. So let's go ahead and select here the two arcs and the two lines and drop this list down of layers and pick hidden right there. Pick hidden. So you're moving it to the hidden layer. Use your escape key to get out of that. Now, notice here that the hidden line is a little bit big. See that? And this one's tighter. So what we need to do is to change the line type scale. The LT scale is going to be 0.5. So let's everybody go ahead and type in LT scale. LT scale. LTSCALE, enter. And then type in 0.5 and enter. You see how tight that is, right? It's a little bit tighter. The LT scale changes the scale of your line types so that the dashes are not so big. It's kind of like a way to customize those dashes. All right. So now we have, we actually can start to work with these chamfers. And when we looked at chamfers before in one of the assignments, we said that the chamfer command is going to be the distance from the corner back to where you want the line to start. So if you just rest your pointer up here on the chamfer command, you'll see that it's the distance from where the line starts to the corner. But you establish a first one and a second one. So let's say our first one is 1 and our second one is 1.38. We better make sure that we pick the top line as 1. Okay, so let's do this together. Start the chamfer command. It's just underneath fillet there. And then stop because we don't want the default. We want to click on multiple because we have 2. And then we want to click on distance because we need to change the distance. It's going to ask us in the command line for our first chamfer distance. That's going to be 1. Type in 1 and enter. Look at your command line down here at the bottom. It's asking for the second chamfer distance. That's going to be my 1.38 and enter. Now I'm going to pick the one that I established for 1, which is the top line, and then pick this line to the left right there, and I've got that chamfer. It's 1 inch from the corner up here at the top and 1.38 here on the left side. Same thing down here, but this time we're going to click the bottom line and then pick the left line. And now I have my 2 chamfers right there. Right click and pick enter or escape out of that. Okay, let's build this little notch here. You can see that the end of the circle is 1.5, but the radius is 0.5. So you really have to kind of like think about this because if this circle is radius 0.5, it's 0.5 from the center of the circle to the end of the circle. And if you subtract that from the 1.5, you get 1. 1 inch from the left edge over to the center of the circle. That's what we're going to use. So we're gonna offset 1, and then we'll draw the circle. So we'll start the offset command. Type in 1 and enter. Click the line on the left side and pick to the right. And there it is. That's where we're going to draw our circle. So right click and enter, escape out of that. Go up to circle center radius because the radius is 0.5. Circle center radius. I'm going to click the intersection right there for the center of the circle and type in 0.5 and enter. And now I just need to draw a line from the top of this circle over to the far left line right there. I can right click and pick enter. I can right click and repeat the line to click the bottom of the circle, bring your mouse over and click. Right click and enter. See, so now it's really just like a big building process. We have the offset, we have the circle, we have the lines, and now we can trim out what we don't want. Notice here I don't have to pick one at a time. I can draw this fence line across more than one thing to trim it out. Something like that would be good, right? I didn't even need that one trimmed out. I'll probably have to stretch it out later. I can right click and pick enter. All right, there's our little notch. Actually, I did trim this one, so I'm going to click on it and pull and click inside this grip and kind of stretch it out a little bit. I know that that needs to be on the center line layer, but I like to leave them solid until I actually draw the objects that we need. All right, so let's concentrate on this polygon here. The polygon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides, and it is 1 inch in like the whole from one side to the other, which means half of that is 0.5. So let's keep that in mind when it starts to ask us a bunch of questions about it. So up here, it's underneath rectangle. So at the top left in the draw panel, just to the right of arc, you'll see rectangle, and then down here you'll see polygon. Now, there are 2 different settings underneath polygon. One is a radius to the corner. You see that little image there? And the other one is a radius to the midpoint of the line. That's the one we need because if you look in the handout there, the one goes from line to line, not from the corners. So I get these mixed up sometime, I have to admit. One is inscribed and one is circumscribed. So we'll use the default and we'll see if it works. Let's go ahead and pick polygon and stop and look at your command line. Any of these commands, even if you don't use them often, you can go look in the command line. It says enter number of sides. I'm going to type in 8 and enter. Now it says specify center of polygon. I'm going to click this intersection of these 2 lines. And then here, see how this is inscribed? or circumscribed. I'm just going to click inscribed. Well, okay, that was the wrong one. I guess that makes sense. The inscribed is like inside the corner, right? So I'm going to do it again, escape out of that. But this time I'm going to use circumscribed, and I wanted to show you that there are those two. So go back up to Polygon. You already have 8 in your command line. You see how it's in brackets? So you don't have to type it in. You can just press enter, but make sure you watch your command line, because when you start the Polygon command, it says enter the number of sides. I'm going to press enter. Then I'm going to click for a center point, but this time I'm going to click circumscribed about the circle. You see now it's going to go, you see how it's going to the midpoint of it, of the line? So I'm going to pull my mouse straight to the right and type in 0.5, which is half of the 1, and enter. 0.5 and enter. All right. So now, like, it's 1 from one side to the other, but I use 0.5 for that circumscribed nested option. Okay. So it looks like we have a circle that's a diameter of 3 here that we have all of these little smaller circles on. So let's draw that. Circle, center, diameter. I can click the intersection of the same 2 lines we used for the polygon, type in 3 and enter. There it is. Now we're going to just draw one of the circles, one of the small circles, this one right over here. And it is, if you look at the note, we have 6x. That means you have 6 circles that are diameter 0.5. So let's go to circle, center, diameter. And then we'll just click on this circle that's at the left side, right along that center line right there. Click. Type in 0.5 and enter right there. Now we only need that one because we're going to use polar array to array it around a center point. So up here where we got the rectangular array before, we're going to go down and pick polar array. Stop and look at your command line. It says select object. I'm going to select this little circle. And then when you're done selecting, you have to press enter. So enter. Now your command line is asking you for the center point of the array. I'm going to click the center of this big circle right there. And if you look up in your ribbon right here, it's similar to what we did for rectangular array. But the difference is we're just going to look at the items. See how we have 6 items, so that was our default. We're good. We're good. We don't have to put more in. But if we have I think we have an assignment coming up where there are more than 6 circles. We just change that under items. And then let's click on this check mark that's closed array right there. Or you can actually click in space, but I'll click there. And now we have our array. Okay, let's take a look at putting this little V shape here. Well, we have 1.5 to where the lines start. So let's do an offset of half of that, 0.75 from this center line right here. So let's go ahead and start the offset command and type in 0.75 and enter. We'll click this line here and click to the right, and the same line right there to the left. And right click and pick enter. Now we have where those angled lines start. I'd like to show you how to quickly draw a line that's 45 degrees. Because that's 90 degrees, it's going to be a 45 degree line. Down here, next to that 4th icon, it's the icon is actually for the tracking. So it's polar tracking that we're using, and that needs to be blue so that it's on. That 4th icon right there needs to be blue, the polar tracking. The arrow next to it, though, I'll go ahead and click on that. Mine is already changed because I've used it already, but it is by default set up on 90. So that green tracking vector will follow the 90, 180, 270, 360 lines. But you want to click in front of 45, 90, 135 so that you can kind of track along that angle. This is kind of cool because if you go underneath tracking settings right here, you'll get a dialog box. And in this dialog box, you can add specific angles. Let's say you've got a really odd angle. It's like 33 degrees. You could, pick the new button right there and put a different specific angle in there that you can draw. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this, but make sure that in this menu, you have a check mark in front of 45, 90 of those. That means it's incremental every 45 degrees. Now, when you start the line command and you click either side, see how you can pull your mouse. If I pull my mouse up towards 45, that's my 45, but I'm going to go opposite of that. You see how it's a green tracking vector? That's 135. I can pull my mouse over here. I know it's 135 and click. And then you can see the green tracking vector coming up here, but I'm going to click on this corner. And now I have the 2 45-degree directions. All right, we don't need these lines anymore, so we can take those out. And we want to keep this one because this one is our main center line. I'm going to use the blue grip to kind of stretch it up and then use my escape key to get out of that. But we do need to trim out this little V shape. So start the trim command and just click out these little guys right there. Yep, there's your little V. All right, let's look at this arc down here. We have some offsets. This is where I used to know what half of 1.75 was. Just on the fly. It's 0.875. So we're going to offset this line over 0.875, and then the bottom line up 0.25. 0.875 is half of 1.75. So start the offset command and type in 0.875 and enter. Click on this vertical line and click to the right. Click on that line again and click to the left. Now, click the bottom line and pull your mouse up and type in 0.25 and enter. Now, you have all your lines. Right-click and enter or escape out of that. This is a 3-point arc. You've got all your lines made from the offsets. You can go to arc and pick 3 points. And it's the start point, the second point, and the end point. We just followed it along from the start to the middle to the end, just like that. Okay, well, we have some extra lines here. I myself like to just erase those, the ones I don't need, and then I'll go back and trim out these extra ones. Because if you start trimming, you're going to end up with so many pieces here. Okay, so I think we're doing pretty good here. You may have to pause the video a couple times to, work on these individual pieces, but it looks like our last thing is going to be, besides cleaning it up a little, line weights, line types, layers, is to create these fillets. We have 2 of them. So let's do that. Up there where we got the chamfer, we have a little drop down there. Let's click on fillet. Click multiple, then click radius, and it looks like the radius is 0.75. Type in 0.75 and enter, and then click the top line and click the line on the right. We've already done this in previous assignments, but I'm going through it again as practice. The left side and the bottom, and there it is. Okay, let's move some of these lines to the center line layer. So the center here, and you can look, that one's the center line, the circle's the center line, this other line is the center line. This one over here is the center line. Oh, we need another one there. Okay, we can drop this list down of layers and click right on center. You can see that they move to the center layer. Yeah, it looks like we're going to need to, I probably deleted this one, so I'm going to go back and set the center layer current. Then I'm going to start the line command. I think what I'll do is I'll go from center circle to center circle, and then right click and enter, and then I'll click on this and stretch it up. See what I'm doing? I'm using these blue little grips to, oops, I better just go straight. Click in the blue box there, that's called the grip, and stretch it out. If you want to make it sort of like what's in the handout there, you can click on this line and kind of stretch that one down a little bit. It'll still show that it's a center line because we made the line type shorter or smaller, I should say. So that looks about right, I think. Yep. Okay, cool. All right, make sure you save your file every so often. You can go up to the red A and down to save. The first time that you save it, you've just created a backup file, BAK. So that's kind of like every time you pick on that, the backup file is going to update. But I think we talked about the auto save file. I'm going to show it to you now just in case I didn't send it to show it to you. I think I did. But we have a DWG that you're going to submit for your file. Then we have a BAK the first time you save it. And as you save it, it updates the backup file. But we also have, if you press F2, it's a function key. So if you have a laptop, you may have to go like FN and then F2. So the F2 on the keyboard will give you more of the command line. And you kind of roll back a little bit. Look, there it is. Every 10 minutes, there's an auto save. That's the 10 minutes is by default. And it shows you where it puts it. Of course, there's ways of moving that to a different folder and setting up a different time every 5 minutes, or, there are some nested settings for that. But understanding that there is a save file that's automatically running in the background every 10 minutes. And look, the extension for it is SV$. So let's say your file crashed and your backup file is old. You can do a search for the SV$. You see how it does put assignment 7 in there, but it uses some gibberish here. And then just rename the SV $ to DWG, and you'll be able to get your file back. Just a side note there in saving the file. Okay, we're ready to dimension. And I might see something that I forgot, but we'll get to it. So let's drop this list down and make your dim text layer current and just start dimensioning. All right, let's not forget about typing in D and enter. So let's type in D and enter and pick the modify button. In the primary units tab, we want to change our precision. Now, if you look at most of them are 2 places. So we're going to pick 0.00 right there. But if you notice, there's no 0 in front of the 0.75. So we want to put a check mark under 0 suppression leading. We're going to suppress the 0 that's before the decimal. And then pick OK, then close. And now you're ready to dimension. Using linear, I did already, well, I guess I will line that up with this one. Make sure you're using the very far left and right side. Some students are coming up to the end of this arc here, this radius, and that's not far enough. And, to make it look right, you can line it up. I mean, you can eyeball it if you want, but if you come over to here and click, you know that you're going to have that right on, right? So it looks like, yeah, we have a lot of typical dimensions that you can put in here. And like I already said, it's okay if your dimensions are at the top or at the bottom, but if you want to move it up, you can click on it and click inside the blue box that's close to the text and pull it up and click. If you want it to look exactly like the handout there, we're going to make sure we have these 0.75. Yeah, there's one up here too from the center. And we did put it inside. The thing about putting it inside, if you click on it and click inside this little grip, you have to kind of like move the number around until you get just past the midpoint to kind of make it pop out right there. There is a setting that we can establish in the dimensions dialog box that shows you that gives you another option to always bringing out. Right now it's like best fit. It best fits in there. All right, so we're going to continue just placing all of these linear dimensions. Now, once you get all the linear dimensions done, I'm going to show you something else. I think I got it all. Nope. 2.5, it goes from here to here. Right there. 2.5. And yeah, I'm sure this will happen to you guys too. I think I forgot. Yeah, I guess we might as well leave it the way that it is on the drawing. I'll go right over here to 1.5. And if you want to move this over a little, you can just use your little grips to like move it out of the way of the object. This happens sometimes. We don't want it to be right on the object there. You want it to look good, right? You want it to look good. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and place the dimensions that are not, that we haven't talked about yet. Like this one, the angular dimension. It's underneath linear, and it's called angular right there. So underneath linear, click on angular. You're going to need to have a line to select. So here is a line, there is a line, pull your mouse up and click. Now the reason I'm telling you that is that if you have a situation where you're like creating an angle but you don't have lines, you may have to draw a line. It won't let you select an extension line. All right, I'm going to click on this and use my grips to kind of pull it over so it's not right on top of the objects. And then we did work with the diameter underneath linear. So if we go up to the linear drop down and click on diameter, we can click on this diameter of 3, this one, and get that fairly quickly. And a few other ones here, like this one over here, we can diameter, click on this one and come over here and click. I guess, let me just see. We might be able to do all of them that way. Let me see. Radius, right there. I guess so. Radius down here. It looks like it. Radius here. So just follow it around and see what we have. Oh, we got a lot of dimensions on this one. Okay, so we're going to clean up some of these. Let's place them, and then I'll show you how to clean them up. All right, first of all, and I know I might have a couple more. First of all, if you want to add text to the dimension, like this one here, the diameter 0.75, it needs 2x. Double click on the text right there, and you'll see the blinking cursor right there before the diameter. That's where you can type in 2x space. and then click in space right there. Now, the other thing, use your escape key to get out of that, is changing the precision. You see how this is 0.38? I can click on that dimension. We did this before. Right click, go to precision, and go to 0.000. There it is. You just changed the precision for that dimension. All the rest are going to stay 2 places to the right. And this one too. Click on this one, right click, go to precision and 0.000. Okay. So we do have a note here. It starts with diameter, so I'll go underneath linear and click on diameter and pick up this little circle right there and at least get the note in there like that. Then you're going to double click on the text. Now you see the blinking cursor is on the left, so I can type in 6x space, but now I have to use my arrow keys to get over to the other side of that diameter and then press enter and put each space, uppercase. It's supposed to stand for each space at 60. And then there's that little degrees. Okay, so this is where I'm going to show you where to get these symbols. Under symbol right here, this is your degrees. And this is your diameter. So if you wanted to just take out that text, you could bring in diameter 0.5. But I'm going to go ahead and click on degrees right there. Now, looking underneath there, it's percentage D. So surprisingly, if I type in percentage D, it'll also be placed in there. Or percentage C will give you the diameter symbol. This is what we used way back to get that symbol in there before we got this drop down. Okay, so then I'll click in space, and it kind of looks like that one. If you click on this and kind of click inside the grip, you can pull it down a little if it's in the middle of something. All right, let's take a look. Well, I don't think I forgot anything, but if I did, make sure you get it. I think I got it all. Let's go up to multi-line text. And see how I can see the ABC? So I think I'm going to be good. Click in space, pull your mouse across and click. Put your cap locks on and type in assignment 7. And then go ahead and put your name there. Now, we're highlighting the assignment 7 and picking underline so that we can get a good title there. It looks a little small. I mean, this one looks bigger because I use that across the board for all of the assignments, but I think looking at it with this one, it looks pretty good. You're welcome to change the height if you want. All right, so I'm going to help you to save your PDF now so that you can get ready for your portfolio that's required at the end of the semester. So save the file. Plus, you might want to set it up for plotting. Maybe you have a little plotter that you want to print it on and print all of your assignments so that you're ready for like a hard copy portfolio. All right, so I'm going to go up to the printing plotter up here. I'm using the same settings that we have before, kind of getting into that, that practice. So I'm going to change this drop-down plotter to ACAD PDF high quality print. I'm going to change the plot area, what to plot, from display to window. I'm going to click in space and put a box around right here, close to it, like the paper, close to it right here, a box. I'm going to put a check mark in the center of the plot at the bottom left. I'm going to change my pens at the top right to monochrome. I'm going to pick yes. Make sure you pick apply to layout and preview. And if you preview it, you should see that this line work is all dark. That's the line work right there. And there's your assignment, and you've got something. You can right click and pick plot. And now you can pick save, and you've got a PDF right there of your project. I did something here that I don't like. I just noticed. I'm a little myself, not for you guys, but I think that this one is a little too close to that circle. When I did the printing, this is just me. I noticed that it was like touching there, and just make sure that all of your dimensions are a lighter line weight than your objects. And then I'm going to, replace it so that so if anything like that happens, you can do that too. All right, that's it. That's the assignment. I think this one has that we used in previous assignments, like assignment 4, when we looked at this leader. So we have chamfers and fillets and offsets. We are adding the 2x, and here we're using that, this one, the leader. This one right here, the leader. We did that in one of our previous assignments in one of those videos, we were able to create a leader here and type in the information. That's what I used for this, for both of these chamfers. I think I used well, look at this. I might have used the diameter one, but in this example, it's DIA. So you just double click and just type in retype everything in. I think this is an assignment that you can handle without a video, right? Based on what we've worked on. Okay, guys, keep in touch and have fun with this. You must be getting a little bit better at it by now, hopefully. All right, take care.